This video is all about knowing how to validate an online course idea before you start building something so that you know with certainty that it's going to sell. The biggest mistake that you can make in developing an online course is jumping straight into building it without knowing if your course idea is even a good idea. There's so many marketing agencies out there saying, just pick your passion and start building, or AI can build your course in 60 minutes. But the reality is that successful courses are usually built on a really strong foundation, and they're structured in a way that actually helps someone develop a real result. A little bit about me: I have an extensive background in education. I have a master's in education and have been developing online courses for universities and corporate companies for years. So I know what makes a successful course, and most importantly, I know how to structure and develop a course on any topic that actually produces an outcome for learners. So I'm going to teach you how to do the exact same process that I've used for years on how to validate a course structure. A funny misconception around building online courses is that most of the time should be spent on actually developing content, which is partially true, but a lot of the time should actually be focused on the planning and the structure of the online course. The more time you take to research an idea, critically reflect on how you will assist learners to achieve their outcome, and have a super clear structure, the course becomes super easy to develop. So in this video, I want to walk you through a much smarter approach on how to validate a course idea. I'm going to show you how to validate the idea before you waste time building it, and show you a simple framework on structuring your course so it actually feels clear, valuable, and easy for your students to follow. The goal of this video isn't to help you create more content, it's to help you create a course that people actually want and will actually get results. So I'm going to be using this free spreadsheet that I've created. So if you want to work along with me, feel free to check the link below and download a copy for yourself. So let's get started. The first section is brainstorming an idea. Now, this seems really trivial, but this is actually very important for the success of your course. So most successful course creators are teaching something they already know how to do. They're taking a skill, a process, a transformation, or result that they already understand, and they're packaging it into a step-by-step system that helps someone else achieve the exact same thing. So instead of trying to invent something completely new, I want you to think about what people are already asking you for help with in particular. What do your friends message you about? What people compliment you on? What problems have you solved in your own life that other people are struggling with? This will help you find an idea that you are passionate about, so you don't burn out when you're building the course or become disinterested in the topic. So using this spreadsheet, the more information that you can fill in these boxes, the better. So once you've filled out this top line, I want you to think about what are the top 3 ideas that really motivate you. Not what you think is going to sell really well in the market, but what is going to motivate you and makes you feel passionate and joy. At this stage, it can be messy. Don't worry about perfecting this too much. One thing I always recommend during this brainstorming stage is writing down at least 10 possible course ideas instead of becoming emotionally attached to the very first one. Because sometimes the first idea feels super exciting, you're super motivated, but when you actually test it, there's no real demand. So having backups is really important here as well. Now, once you have written down your top 3 ideas that you've developed from this brainstorming section, I want you to break down those top 3 ideas into 5 to 6 skills that a learner would need to develop in order to achieve that goal. For example, maybe you figured out how to grow on social media, maybe you've learned how to budget properly, maybe you have become really good at fitness or photography or meal prep, public speaking, the list goes on and on and on. The more specific and niche and specialized that you can make your topic is even better, because that's going to make you personally stand out within the market. So now, taking one of the ideas that you've written down here, just one, I want you to really think about who do you want to specifically help with this course. Now, please don't skip this step. This is going to really help you focus on the type of content that you're going to develop and how you're going to market your course later on. For example, the type of person you could be looking at developing a course for is mothers with small children. Is it university students? Professionals transitioning careers. Really think about who you're trying to target and have at least 3 points here. Using this one here before your course, you're going to get into the mindset of your learner. So, what are they confused about before they have completed your course? This is an important step because it solidifies in your mind who you are developing this for and will also help you unlock key topics and skills that will assist with your brainstorming or your course development later on. I cannot tell you how many times I've met someone who is developing a course who are unable to answer these questions about their ideal learner. This is what distinguishes a course from, oh, this is nice to have, I'll think about buying it later, to, oh my gosh, I need to solve this problem right now. So for all the points that you've written in here about what someone is confused about, you need to think about after they've completed their course, how has that transitioned into a confidence outcome? So if they were confused about something before, what are they now confident and capable in doing after they have completed your course? So this leads us into the outcome shift. What is someone actually going to achieve by the end of completing your course? It's okay to take time reviewing this sentence and starting with something very simple, and then you can come back and always refine it later. Remember, this is still just a draft, but you need to have this sentence officially developed before you start moving on to the next steps. This is one of the most important and critical sentences of the whole course design structure because it will steer you throughout your whole course build. You're always going to be referring back to this outcome. So you really want to make this sentence meaningful. So here are some bad examples. You don't want to have two sentences. Learn Instagram. You need to actually explain the pain point that you are solving and what is the practical outcome of your course. So learn Instagram could be build and grow an Instagram account to 1,000 engaged followers using a simple content strategy so you can start attracting your first leads without posting every day. That's a very, very, very clear and specific result. So someone can see that and be like, oh my gosh, I want that. I want to do that. Rather, learn Instagram is kind of like, oh, I don't really understand what type of outcome I'm going to get from this course. So the more specific that you can develop, the better. Now, you also need to be so aware that if you promise an outcome or if you're saying, hey, you can do this, you need to make sure that 95 to 98% of your learners that go through your course will actually achieve that result. There are too many online courses out there that promise a really cool result, but they completely underdeliver, and they have a success rate of like 1% of learners that they can achieve it. For example, those courses that promise, oh, make your first 10K months within like 60 days or something. Just really make sure you're delivering an actual result. This is how you're going to get really strong testimonials and reviews, and people are going to want to come and work with you rather than if you underdeliver on something. So really take your time focusing on this as well. AI is a great tool in helping brainstorming these things as well, but ultimately at the end of the day, you need to make sure that this is actually achievable. I can't stress that enough. So this is now my absolute favorite part of the whole course design process. It's the validation check that I've developed. What you're going to do is you're going to take one idea from this section here, ideally the one that you've written the outcome shift for, and you're going to do your own research in checking if this is a good idea and is going to sell within the market. Now, using AI is also a great starting point. It can help shorten and make this process simpler, but the more research that you do yourself helps you learn what type of market demands there are, and it will help teach you and internalize with you what type of language and wording that you'll need, particularly in your marketing strategies later on. So I highly, highly recommend the more that you do yourself in this step, rather than relying on AI, the better outcome you're going to have, because you're going to know your ideal persona, the pain points that you see going around the internet, and people's frustrations. So taking one of those skills from before, you need to research these three main points. So you need to look at demand signals, whether or not there is a demand for it within the market, the pain level, the bigger someone's urge to buy your course is going to be. And then the last one is looking at common questions around the course that you're going to develop. So the more questions that you see online, Reddit, Google, Facebook comments, the more it will validate that your course is going to be in demand. So this validation process helps you figure out whether your idea is something people are mildly interested in or something they would genuinely pay to solve. So we do this through our own research. Now, a great way to start your own research is by using AI tools, but it is also important that you see this information for yourself with your own eyes. Learn how people communicate their pains and frustrations, which will become so important later on for marketing purposes later. So what's really important is going through each list and ticking off whether your course idea meets this criteria, and try not to move on to the next step without getting a green signal for each stage. So as you find your answers to the questions, you'll see a little progress bar and what this means within this box here. So ideally you want to get at least an 8 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10. So this is your overall validation score here. You want to have at least to an 80 to 100% in the validation score before you start building your course, so you know with confidence that your course is going to sell when you end up getting to that stage. Now, when you're doing your research, you want to look through Google, use AI, and confirm ideas through any online forums like Reddit, YouTube comments, Instagram comments, and anything where you can find people asking questions relevant to your course idea. Now, in the common questions section, you want to find at least 5 questions with at least 5 different people asking the same question. So this confirms it's a real issue. For example, it could be a comment in a YouTube video being like, I don't understand how to do market research on XYZ. Or then you'll have 3 or 4 comments within that comment section that are kind of similar to that first one. So you want to tick off and make sure that there is at least 3 to 5 people with the same type of question, so you know that there's a real issue or pain. So remember that these common questions that you find here need to kind of validate and confirm this section here. What people are confused about, what are they frustrated about, what solutions do they need in order to solve a problem. Please, please, please avoid generating answers using AI, as it's not an accurate reflection of what people are actually saying. You can definitely post Reddit forums into AI to analyze it for you, but it's best if you use your own eyes so that you as the developer learn your ideal persona back to front. Once you have at least scored an 80% range, you know that you have a strong course idea. Don't be discouraged if you have less than 80% once you've done 2, 3, 4 hours of research, because you have just essentially saved yourself time with a topic that wouldn't have sold if you had put it to market. So that is still really important information and research as well. It just means you can go back to your brainstorming idea, pick idea number 2, number 3, and then jump back into the validation check to make sure that you have achieved that high score. Trust me, don't skip this process. It's really going to pay off, particularly in the long run. There's no point spending hours and hours and hours on a course idea that isn't going to sell in the market. So don't skip this step. So now you've achieved an 80% score range within your spreadsheet, within the validation check. It's time to start looking at how to develop a course structure. Obviously, the more that you flesh out your course structure, the easier it's going to be to build and design your course. This is going to be your roadmap for how you're going to develop the content, what type of content you're going to develop, and guide your learner to a real achievable outcome. So for your overall course goal here, you're going to take what you have written in your outcome shift and you're going to develop it into this structured sentence here. So by the end of the course, you'll be able to put in your pain point by doing, and then your achievable transformation that's actually realistic. Now, once you've mapped out your course goal, you want to think about what are the 6 milestones or steps that a learner would need to do in order to complete this course goal. Overall, these milestones are going to become your modules. A really good trick for developing milestones is to think about how each milestone or module is going to build on top of one another. So you want to think of like a Lego block. So you want to have a very strong foundation, and then you just keep refining that skill until that learner is able to develop and have an overall transformation at the end of the course. You want to avoid jumping randomly from topic to topic. You want them to flow sequentially. So this is part of why courses are so difficult to develop because of that flow that you really need to think about. So once you're happy with your 6 milestones, you want to start drafting dot points on each of the key topics that would need to be introduced within each milestone. Within this section as well, you want to think about the key activities that a learner would need to complete to reinforce these new skills as well. Remember, when you're doing this, there needs to be a clear pathway to the overall transition. We don't want a learner to feel like they have to jump through hoops in order to get a result. That's where a design of a course is critical to ensure the best learning experience for someone who is completing your course. So once you've really broken this down and you've thought about it in detail, you've validated your topic idea, that means you're ready to start building it. So overall, I hope this video was helpful in how to come up with an online course idea, how to validate it, and a basic overview on how to structure your course. It does take a lot of work, however, nothing excellent is created in a day. The more effort that you put into planning, the more certainty you will have over the product that you're developing. So once you've built your online course, when you get to marketing, you're not going to hesitate in knowing whether your product is good or not. If you want a copy of this free spreadsheet as well that I've used throughout the video, check out the link below. And if you have any questions regarding course design, or if you're struggling with developing an online course, please leave a comment below. I'm so happy to help you out. And if you're a coach or a creator and you don't have time to develop an online course, but it's something that you're interested in, check out my link below as well to a free call with me. I'm more than happy to help you out and build the course for you as well. I appreciate you watching this video.